Hi, I'm Shane, the founder of Wireframe, the wiring diagram builder for vans, boats, and off-grid setups, designed to build systems that are safe and correct. It automatically sizes your wires and fuses and checks your system for mistakes. And it's designed to be simple and easy to use. So today we're going to look at how to get started and how to build your first wiring diagram. Now when you log into the app, you arrive on the dashboard, which is this screen here. And on the right side, you can see 3 ways to get started. The first way is to use our wizard to help you find the right wiring diagram for your specific needs. This is best for total beginners. The second option is to browse our pre-built wiring diagram templates, which you can see here on the left side. There are 17 different wiring diagrams to choose from, with 50 variations all in all. The third option is to start from blank, which is what we're going to do today. So for today's demonstration, I want to build a very simple solar system, connecting a solar panel to a solar charge controller to a battery. On the left side of the screen, you can see the components drawer. Here I can search from over 100 components pre-built inside of Wireframe. I can search for components using the search bar or using the categories here below. So I'm going to click on solar and I'm going to scroll down to find a solar panel. Here's a monocrystalline solar panel, which I'll click and drag onto the canvas. You can see on the right side that the properties panel has opened up, which are all the properties relating to the component that I've just placed. The 2 most important tabs here are the properties tab, which allow me to change things like the wattage, the current, the voltage of the component, and also the ports tab. You can see here that this solar panel has 2 ports, PV positive and PV negative. And I can see those ports here on the right side of the screen in the properties panel. I can change the type of those ports by clicking on the port and choosing another type that Wireframe offers. I can also reposition the port on the component. If I click and drag the port, I can drag it to a different side of the component. So here I'm going to move both of those ports to the bottom of the solar panel. I can also add my own port by clicking the positive button here on the right, which adds another port to the component, and I can remove it with the negative button. So now that we have a solar panel placed on the canvas, next I want to add a solar charge controller. Specifically, I want to add the Victron MPPT. So if I just search in the search bar for MPPT, I can find Victron's Smart Solar MPPT here, which I will click and drag onto the canvas. So I want to connect the solar panel to the MPPT, but in between I want to add a little bit of protection for my system. So I want to add a breaker, specifically an MCB. So I'm going to search for MCB, and I can see a solar MCB right here, which I'll click and drag onto the canvas. So I'm going to connect up the MCB to the MPPT now by connecting the PV minus to PV minus and PV plus to PV plus. And I'm going to do the exact same with the solar panel and the MCB. And we can see once we've connected the system together that something very interesting happens. The fuse has automatically been sized to 15 amp. We can see the calculation if we go to the properties panel of the breaker, and under rated current we can see the exact calculation that it is used to come up with the 15 amp rating. Similarly, for the wires, they've all been sized to 2 mil. If I click on one of the wires, I can see in the properties panel the exact calculation that was used to size the wire to 2 mil. Now if I want to get even more accurate with the wire sizing, I should add in the wire length for my specific setup. We always recommend adding in the wire length for every wire in your system to get the most accurate wire size for your setup. So now that I've added the solar panel and the MPPT, I next want to add the leisure battery. So I'm going to search here for battery, and we'll add in a lithium battery to the setup. I'm just going to reposition our ports here for that battery to be on the bottom of the component. So I'm going to click and drag them to be on the bottom. And I'm going to connect our MPPT to the battery. So we'll connect DC minus to DC minus and DC positive to DC positive. Now we can see when we've done that we've had a few validation errors pop up, which we can see here in the top right where it says 6 issues. I'm going to click on that. We can see that there are many issues here with our system, but let's focus in on the top 2. We have 1, battery without primary fuse, and 2, MPPT without protection. This means that we don't have a fuse protecting either the battery or the MPPT. So let's add one. If I search here for fuse in the search bar, I'm going to add an ANL fuse to our system, and I'm going to resize it here in the properties panel to be a little bit smaller. I'm then going to rewire the positive cable connecting the MPPT and the battery, just like so. Now we can see once I've done that the fuse is automatically sized to 40 amp, matching the MPPT's 30 amp rating. And we can see that the wire is also automatically sized to 6mm. If we click it, we can see on the right side in the properties panel how that calculation was performed for the 6mm, and again, we always recommend adding the actual wire length in. We can now see that those validation errors have been removed, which is great. We just have one more that we want to deal with. Right now, there's no ground in the system, so let's add that. If I search here in the search bar for ground, we're going to add a chassis ground point to our system. Again, I'm going to resize it in the properties panel to be a bit smaller. And all we're going to do here is connect the chassis to the negative terminal of our leisure battery, and we can see that the validation error has disappeared. So that should be enough to get you started building your first wiring diagram inside of Wireframe. Very happy and very safe onward travels.